There's a moment when you're thinking about someone you haven't spoken to in years, and within an hour they call, or you dream about a specific event, and 2 days later it happens exactly as you saw it. Or you walk into a room and know, without being told, that something bad just happened. Your body feels it. The air feels different. You can sense the tension like static electricity on your skin. And when someone finally explains what occurred, you're not surprised. You already knew. On the outside, you brush it off. Weird coincidence, you say. Lucky guess. But on the inside, there's a question you don't ask out loud. Am I picking up on something real, or am I making this up? You've had these moments before? Many times. Knowing who's calling before you check your phone. Sensing someone's lying even when their words sound convincing. Their face looks calm. Their story seems airtight. Feeling a friend's distress from across the country and texting them, only to find out they were in crisis at that exact moment. Crying in their car, sitting in a hospital waiting room, getting terrible news. You don't call it psychic. That word feels too big, too woo-woo, too easy to dismiss or mock. But you also can't deny that something is happening, something that logic alone doesn't explain, and you're caught between two worlds, the one that says this is real, meaningful, worth trusting, and the one that says you're delusional, superstitious, grasping at patterns that don't exist. This tension shows up everywhere, but most people keep it quiet. In relationships, someone feels their partner's mood shift before a single word is spoken. They walk into the house and know, instantly, viscerally, that something's wrong. Not from tone or body language, from the energy in the room. It feels heavy, charged, or hollow. They ask, "What's wrong?" And their partner says, "Nothing," but they know that's not true. They feel the distress, the anger, the sadness, like it's their own. Sometimes they even feel it in their own body, tightness in the chest, nausea in the stomach, before they consciously realize their partner is upset. At work, someone walks into a meeting and senses exactly how it's going to go. They can't explain it, but they feel the tension, the alliances, the unspoken conflicts before anyone speaks. They know who's going to challenge the proposal, who's quietly angry, who's pretending to agree but planning to undermine the decision later. And they're right, every time. They start to wonder if they're reading micro-expressions, picking up on vocal tones, or if they're sensing something deeper, something energetic, something that science doesn't have a name for yet. In family dynamics, someone calls their mom at the exact moment she's thinking of them, or they wake up at 3 a.m. with a strong, undeniable urge to check on a sibling, only to find out later that the sibling was in an accident, having a panic attack, or going through a crisis at that exact time. These moments are too specific, too frequent, too precise to dismiss as coincidence. But they're also too strange, too outside the bounds of acceptable conversation to talk about openly. Alone, people replay these experiences and ask themselves, am I sensitive, intuitive, empathic, or am I actually psychic? And underneath that question is a deeper fear. If I admit this is real, will people think I'm crazy? Will I lose credibility? Will I be dismissed, mocked, or pathologized? Most of this confusion starts with how we're taught to understand reality. A girl grows up in a household that values science, logic, evidence, and proof. When she says, "I had a bad feeling about that person and I was right," her parents say, "You just noticed body language. It's not magic. You're observant, that's all." She learns that her heightened sensitivity is explainable, reducible, nothing special or supernatural. So when she has experiences that feel beyond explanation, knowing things she couldn't possibly know, sensing events before they happen, feeling other people's emotions as if they're her own, she dismisses them. She tells herself she's overthinking, making connections that aren't there, seeing patterns in randomness. She learns to distrust her own perception, to second-guess what she knows. A boy grows up in a family that's deeply spiritual. When he has vivid dreams that come true, his grandmother says, "You have the gift. It runs in the family. Your great aunt had it too." But his friends at school mock anything supernatural. They laugh at horoscopes, roll their eyes at ghost stories, dismiss anything that can't be measured in a lab. So he splits. At home, he's psychic, At school, he's rational, skeptical, scientific. He learns to hide half of himself, never fully trusting either side, never feeling whole. As adults, people live with this split. They have experiences that feel undeniably real, telepathic moments with loved ones, precognitive dreams that come true in unsettling detail. The ability to sense energy in rooms or read people's unspoken emotions, knowing things without being told and having no rational explanation for how they know. But they have no framework to hold them. Science says it's pattern recognition, confirmation bias, selective memory, or coincidence. Mysticism says it's clairvoyance, extrasensory perception, spiritual gifts, soul-level knowing. And most people are stuck in the middle, wondering which story is true, which side to trust, whether they're crazy or connected to something real. This connects to what psychologists call heightened sensitivity, empathic accuracy, or interoception, and what parapsychologists call psi phenomena, ESP, or psychic ability. The truth is probably somewhere between the two, in the liminal space where science and mystery meet. Some of what people call psychic is likely advanced empathy, finely tuned intuition, and subconscious pattern recognition happening faster than conscious thought. But some of it, especially the experiences that defy statistical probability, that involve information the person had no way of accessing, might be pointing to something science doesn't fully understand yet. Something about consciousness, connection, and information transfer that our current models can't explain. The cost of this confusion shows up in everyday life in painful, isolating ways. At work, someone has a strong sense that a project's going to fail. They can't point to data. They can't cite a specific red flag. They just know deep in their body that this direction is wrong, but they don't speak. Up because "I have a bad feeling" isn't taken seriously in corporate environments. You need metrics, evidence, a logical argument. The project fails months later, and they think, "I knew. I felt it from the beginning. Why didn't I trust myself?" But trusting themselves would mean admitting they operate on information that isn't rational, and that feels risky, unprofessional, like career suicide. In romantic relationships, someone consistently knows when their partner's lying. Not from inconsistencies in the story, not from shifty eyes or defensive tone, from a felt sense, an energetic shift, a wrongness they can't name but can't ignore. They confront it, and every single time, they're right. The partner admits the lie, shocked and defensive. "How do you even know that? Were you spying on me? Going through my phone?" They can't explain it, so they start doubting themselves. Maybe they are paranoid. Maybe they're controlling, invasive, manufacturing problems. But deep down, they know they're not. They're just sensing what's true. In family dynamics, someone dreams about a relative getting sick, sees the hospital room, feels the fear, wakes up shaken. A week later, the relative is diagnosed with the exact illness from the dream, in the same hospital, in a room that looks exactly like the one they saw. The family dismisses it as coincidence, as the brain making lucky guesses. But it's happened too many times. Birthday calls that come at the exact second the person was thinking of them. Sensing a family member's death before the phone rings. Knowing secrets no one ever told them. The person starts to feel isolated, burdened, like they're carrying knowledge no one else wants to acknowledge. They stop sharing their dreams. They stop mentioning the knowing. They go quiet, small, hidden. In friendships, someone picks up on things their friends don't say. They sense jealousy simmering beneath a compliment, sadness hiding behind a joke, anger masked by polite smiles. They gently ask, "Are you okay? You seem off." Their friend snaps, "I'm fine. Why are you always analyzing me? Can't you just let things be?" The person learns to shut down their sensitivity, to pretend they don't notice, to numb the signals so they don't make others uncomfortable, so they don't seem intrusive or weird. Inside, the self-talk is brutal and relentless. Am I crazy? Am I making this up? Why do I feel things no one else seems to feel? Why do I know things I shouldn't know? Or worse, if this is real, what does that make me? A freak? A witch? Someone who doesn't belong in the normal world? The exhaustion comes from living in a world that demands proof for things that can't be proven, that requires silence for experiences that feel undeniably, sometimes overwhelmingly, real. But here's the shift, the reframe that changes everything. Whether you call it psychic ability, heightened intuition, empathic sensitivity, or advanced pattern recognition, the experience itself is real. The knowing is real. Your perception is real. The question isn't, am I making this up? The question is, how do I work with this without losing myself in either extreme, total skepticism that denies my experience, or ungrounded mysticism that makes me lose touch with reality? Because the truth is, you don't have to choose between science and spirituality. You can hold both. You can acknowledge that your brain is extraordinarily good at reading micro cues, body language, tonal shifts, and patterns in behavior, and also leave room for the possibility that consciousness might operate in ways science hasn't fully mapped yet, that connection and information might flow through channels we don't yet understand. You don't need to prove you're psychic to anyone. You just need to trust what you know, even when you can't explain how you know it, even when the mechanism is invisible. And that trust doesn't require belief in the supernatural. It requires belief in your own experience, in the validity of your perception. When you sense something and later it turns out to be accurate, that's data. Not proof of magic, not evidence of supernatural powers, but proof that you're perceiving something real, even if the how and why remain unclear. The cost of dismissing it, of silencing yourself, doubting yourself, making yourself smaller, is higher than the cost of honoring it. And the people who learn to live with this, who trust their knowing without needing external validation, who stop apologizing for their sensitivity, aren't more special, more gifted, or more evolved. They're just more willing to live in the mystery, to trust themselves even when the world tells them not to. So how do you actually work with experiences that feel psychic, whether they are or aren't? Here are practical, grounded steps that honor both science and mystery. Track patterns without judgment. Whether you're truly psychic or just highly perceptive and sensitive, tracking patterns helps you see what's real and what's not. The practice is simple but revealing. When you have a strong sense, premonition, gut feeling, or knowing, write it down before the outcome is known. Note the date, what you sensed, how it felt in your body, and any specific details. Then track what actually happens. Over weeks and months, you'll see patterns. You'll see where your knowing was accurate and where it wasn't. What contexts trigger genuine insight and what contexts trigger anxiety or projection. A woman does this for 6 months. She realizes she's accurate about 70% of the time when she senses someone's emotional state, picking up on sadness, anger, or fear that the person hasn't expressed. But she's almost never accurate when she tries to predict lottery numbers, random events, or outcomes that have no emotional charge. That tells her something important. Her sensitivity is relational and emotional, not random psychic prediction. Now she trusts it in the context where it's reliable and stops trying to force it in areas where it doesn't work. The difficulty here is the fear of being wrong, of looking foolish, of discovering you're not as psychic as you thought. To move through it, remember, you're gathering data, not proving yourself. Even 50% accuracy means something real is happening, something worth paying attention to. Distinguish between anxiety and knowing anxiety, and psychic knowing can feel similar. Both create urgency, both feel like warnings, both live in the body, but they come from different places and have different qualities. Anxiety spirals, catastrophizes, and rarely has specific details. It says something bad will happen, without clarity. Psychic knowing is calm, clear, grounded, and oddly specific. It says, call your sister, now. The practice is to pause when you feel something strong and ask, is this fear of what might happen or knowledge of what is happening? A man wakes up at 3 a.m. with a sense that his sister is in trouble. Is it anxiety? He checks his body. His heart isn't racing. He's not spiraling with worst-case scenarios or imagining disasters. He just knows. quietly and certainly. He texts her. She's in the ER with a broken ankle. She hadn't told anyone yet because it was the middle of the night. That's not anxiety. That's knowing. The difficulty is trusting the difference, learning to read the signal accurately. To move through it, notice the tone and texture. Anxiety shouts, spirals, and pulls you into future catastrophe. Knowing whispers calmly, but it doesn't waver or doubt itself. Create grounded practices around your sensitivity. If you're sensing things others aren't, emotions, energy, unspoken truths, you need practices to stay grounded and clear. Without them, you'll absorb everything around you and burn out. The practice is to develop a daily reset ritual, something that clears what's not yours and brings you back to your own center. That might be a short meditation where you visualize releasing energy that doesn't belong to you, or a walk in nature where you imagine roots growing from your feet into the earth, or journaling to differentiate your emotions from what you're picking up from others. A woman realizes she's absorbing everyone's stress at work. By the end of the day, she's exhausted, anxious, and doesn't know why. None of the stress is hers. She starts a practice. After work, she sits for 5 minutes and imagines energy that's not hers, flowing out of her body and into the earth, like water draining. It sounds woo-woo, but it works. She feels lighter, clearer. She can tell what's hers and what's not. The difficulty is skepticism, the inner voice that says this is silly or fake. To move through it, focus on results. If it helps you feel better, it works. You don't need to understand the mechanism or prove why. It's effective. Test your knowing in low-stakes ways. If you're curious whether your experiences are genuinely psychic or just sharp intuition, test them. The practice is to make small predictions or knowings in low-stakes situations where the outcome doesn't matter much. Before you check your phone, guess who's texting. Before a meeting, sense how it will go. Before opening an email, feel whether it's good news or bad. Track your accuracy over time without judgment. A man starts guessing who's calling before he looks at his phone. He's right about 60% of the time with close friends and family, people he has emotional bonds with. He's almost never right with strangers, telemarketers, or acquaintances. That suggests he's tuning into relational fields, emotional connections, not random psychic powers. He stops trying to be universally psychic and starts trusting his knowing specifically in relational contexts where it's strong. The difficulty is the ego wanting to be right all the time, wanting to prove you're special. To move through it, let go of performance. You're exploring your own experience, not auditioning for a psychic hotline. Honor the knowing without needing to explain it. One of the biggest struggles sensitive people face is feeling the need to justify or explain their knowing. Someone asks, "How did you know that?" And you freeze because you can't explain it. There's no logical pathway. You just knew. The practice is to stop trying to rationalize it. When you know something, you can simply say, "I just had a sense," or "I can't explain it, but I trust it." You don't owe anyone a mechanism, a scientific explanation, or proof. A woman keeps sensing when her colleagues are lying in meetings. She used to try to explain it. Your tone shifted, or you looked away, or the story didn't add up. But that was never the real reason. She just knew energetically that the truth was different. Now when someone asks how she knew, she says, "I don't know how, I just did." And she stops there, comfortable in the mystery. Some people respect it, some don't. That's okay. She's not responsible for their comfort with her perception. The difficulty is the pressure to rationalize to make yourself acceptable. To move through it, practice saying, "I don't know how, but I trust what I sense." You're allowed to know things you can't explain. That's actually most of human experience. Explore both scientific and mystical frameworks. You don't have to pick a side, plant a flag, declare yourself purely rational or purely mystical. The practice is to read both perspectives and hold them lightly. Learn about mirror neurons, empathy, micro-expressions, and subconscious pattern recognition from psychology and neuroscience. Also explore clairsentience, telepathy, energy sensitivity, and psychic development from mystical and spiritual traditions. See which language helps you make sense of your experience. Use both if that feels true. A man reads about highly sensitive people and realizes that framework explains some of his experiences. His ability to read rooms, pick up on subtle emotional cues, feel overwhelmed in crowds. He also reads about clairsentience and realizes that framework explains other experiences, knowing things he had no sensory access to, feeling his grandmother's death across the country. He doesn't need one framework to be right and the other wrong. He uses both depending on the situation. The difficulty is the cultural need for one truth, one story. To move through it, let it be paradox. You can be both scientifically informed and spiritually open. Holding both is maturity, not confusion. Protect your energy and choose who you share with. Not everyone will understand or respect your sensitivity. Some will mock it, some will exploit it, asking you to read them or predict things like you're a parlor trick. Some will pathologize it, suggesting you're anxious, delusional, or need medication. The practice is to be selective, intentional, and boundaried about who you share these experiences with. Find people who don't need you to prove it, who won't mock you or demand explanations. Share with them. With others, keep it private. A woman stops telling her skeptical partner about her dreams that come true, her sense of people's hidden emotions, her knowing when something's about to happen. It's not worth the argument, the dismissal, the subtle erosion of her self-trust. She shares with her best friend, who has similar experiences and honors the mystery. That's enough. She doesn't need everyone to understand. The difficulty is the deep human desire to be fully seen and understood by everyone, especially those we love. To move through it, accept that some people won't get it, and that doesn't make your experience less real or less valuable. You're not required to shrink yourself to fit their worldview. Over time, life doesn't become magical or problem-free, but it becomes more honest, more aligned, more yours. You stop pretending you don't know things you know. You stop apologizing for sensing energy, having premonitions, feeling what others feel. You trust your knowing, even when it doesn't make logical sense, even when you can't trace the pathway from question to answer. Relationships shift in profound ways. People who need you to be normal, who need you to perform rationality and suppress your sensitivity, fade out. People who honor mystery, who trust their own inner knowing, who respect yours, show up. You find communities, online, in person, in books, in quiet conversations, where this isn't weird or fringe. It's just part of being awake, being sensitive, being human in a deeper way. At work, you learn when to share your sense and when to translate it into acceptable language. You say, I think we should reconsider this approach, instead of, I'm getting a bad vibe from this project. You protect your knowing by not exposing it to people who'll dismiss it, but you still honor it internally and let it guide your decisions. Internally, you feel less split, less fragmented, less like you're living a double life. You stop trying to be either purely rational or purely mystical. You're both. You're human, which means you're wired for logic and mystery, for science and spirit, for proof and faith. And you stop needing to prove which one is more real. You just live from the center of your own experience, trusting what you know, letting the rest remain mysterious. Return to that moment when the phone rings and it's the person you were just thinking about. Before you might have dismissed it, called it coincidence, shrugged it off, stayed small and silent. Now you pause, you notice. You let it be mysterious without needing to collapse it into proof or delusion, without forcing it into a box labeled science or magic. You acknowledge simply and clearly, I was picking up on something. I don't know how, but it happened. And it's happened before. And that's enough. Psychic or not, you're sensitive. You know things. You sense energy. You feel connections that others don't feel. And instead of making yourself smaller to fit into a worldview that doesn't have room for you, you make space for your own experience. You trust what you know, even when you can't explain it to anyone else. You live in the space between science and mysticism, in the fertile ground where both are true, and you stop apologizing for it. This is lifelong work. Some days you'll feel clear, certain, connected. Some days you'll doubt everything, wonder if you're making it all up, feel isolated in your strangeness. That's okay. That's part of the process. You're not trying to be a perfect psychic or a flawless intuitive. You're trying to live as yourself, sensitive, awake, and willing to trust the mystery without needing all the answers. Thank you for being here and staying with this all the way through. If this resonated, consider subscribing for more videos on consciousness, psychology, and spiritual growth. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you had experiences that felt psychic or beyond explanation? How do you make sense of them? Do you lean more towards science or mysticism, or do you hold both? Share in the comments if you feel comfortable. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear.